Hi, my name is Vincent, and I'm from the Speech and Audio Processing Lab at Imperial College. On behalf of my co-authors, Christine and Patrick, I will be presenting our ICASSP paper, Polynomial PEVD of Spherical Harmonics for Speech Enhancement. Speech enhancement is important for many applications such as hearing aids, telecommunications, ASR and voice-controlled home systems. In real-world scenarios, however, the speech signal is often degraded by background noise and reverberation, which will often reduce the performance of these systems. As such, the performance can be improved by using speech enhancement algorithms to process the received signals. Because prior information of the target speech and acoustic environment are unavailable, blind and unsupervised approaches are required. Existing subspace approaches for speech enhancement use an EVD to decorrelate spectrally and spatially for a single channel and multi-channel system respectively. However, an EVD can only decorrelate instantaneously, which is inadequate for speech signals that naturally exhibits temporal correlations across different microphones. The proposed speech enhancement based on polynomial EVD can impose spatial decorrelation over a range of time shifts. The approach is effective for noise reduction and dereverberation using various microphone array geometries. The complexity, however, does not scale well with the number of signals used in the processing. In this talk, we will focus on spherical microphone arrays and explain how to reduce the number of signals used for processing. Using the reverberant channel model, the received signals X can be decomposed into the speech components in blue, which comprises the direct path and early reflections, as well as the noise component in red, which consists of the late reflections and additive noise components. Across Q sensors, the data vector is written as the following. The PEVD-based speech enhancement algorithm is presented here, and the goal is to obtain an enhanced output using only the microphone observations X. The received signals for all microphones are then used to compute the space-time covariance matrix, which is then used as the input into the polynomial EVD algorithm to generate the eigenvalues and eigenvectors polynomial matrices. The received signals are then filtered through the eigenvector filterbank to produce the enhanced signals. For a spherical microphone array, the spherical harmonics provide a compact representation of an order-limited three-dimensional sound field. The SHT can effectively reduce the number of signals used to represent the sound field, where calligraphic L is typically much smaller than Q. With polynomial EVD applied to L instead of Q, the computational complexity is significantly reduced. The spherical harmonic decomposition of the microphone signals associated with the Lth order nth degree basis function R is given by the following. The inverse transform, which allows us to recover the microphone signals, uses a weighted sum of the spherical harmonic basis. Regular Lth denotes the maximum spherical harmonic order of the sound field, and calligraphic L is the total number of eigenbeams. This slide visualizes the spherical harmonic basis functions. For an order 1 approximation of the sound field, there are 4 eigenbeams, and similarly, for an order 2 approximation, we will have 9 eigenbeams. We now use an example to demonstrate the compression ability of the SHT. Using different spherical harmonic order to approximate the sound field measured by a 32 microphone spherical array, we find that the approximation improves as we use more eigenbeams, as expected. Most of the information is also captured using a modest order with less than 5% error. Using different spherical harmonic order also affects the computational savings attained by using smaller number of signals for the polynomial EVD algorithm. This slide summarizes the proposed algorithm. Instead of applying the polynomial EVD to the 32 microphone signals directly, we first approximate the sound field with a low-order spherical harmonic. Consequently, this will generate a smaller number of eigenbeam signals on which the PEVD can now operate at a reduced complexity. The generated eigenvector polynomial matrix is then used by the eigenbeam signals to generate the enhanced output. Assuming stationarity, the eigenbeams are used to compute the space-time covariance matrix. Each element is the cross-correlation function between the beams, and tau is the time shift parameter. The Z transform of this covariance matrix gives us a parahermitian matrix expressed as the following. And in this talk, we will use regular font to denote matrices and calligraphic font to denote polynomial matrices. Here is an example of the eigenbeams, the first order eigenbeams and its space-time covariance matrix. The diagonals are computed using the autocorrelation functions of the eigenbeams, whereas the off-diagonal elements are computed using the cross-correlation between eigenbeams. So this will be between beam 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4. The polynomial EVD of the space-time covariance matrix is given by the following expression, where lambda and u are the eigenvalue and eigenvector polynomial matrices. Superscript p is the parahermitian operator, which involves the Hermitian transpose operation followed by a time reversal. Because the speech and noise components are uncorrelated, polynomial EVD decomposes the matrix into orthogonal signal and noise subspaces. The polynomial EVD of the space-time covariance matrix computed earlier is shown. So on the left we have the eigenvalue, and on the right we have the eigenvector polynomial matrix, which will be used in a while. To compute the polynomial EVD, any of the following algorithms can be used. The eigenbeam signals are filtered through the eigenvector filterbank U of Z to produce the outputs that are strongly decorrelated. Because we are only considering a single speaker, the enhanced speech can be recovered in the first channel via a weighted reconstruction using the speech subspace. So the following output on the right is generated by filtering the eigenbeam signals on the left through the eigenvector filterbank generated earlier. The following experiment setup is used. We simulate the room impulse responses using the smear Gen 2. The speech source signals are obtained from timid, and the source and microphone arrays, they are placed along the x-axis. And in this scenario, there's 0 dB white noise. We compare two versions of our proposed algorithm, which uses the first order and second order spherical harmonics decomposition. And consequently, we will have 4 and 9 eigenbeam signals for the polynomial EVD algorithm. 2 eigenbeams are also considered, the omnidirectional beam, chi of 0, 0, and the directional beam, chi of 1 and 1, that is directed at the source. KLT is applied to the omnidirectional beam. The raw polynomial EVD, which operates on all 32 microphones, is also used. The enhancement measures include the frequency-weighted segmental SNR, STOI, PESC, and the Buck spectral distortion, the BSD. This table summarizes the performance. The polynomial EVD algorithms perform comparably, with PEVD L2 performing best in all metrics. And we first listen to the noisy signal before listening to raw PEVD and PEVD L2. The noisy signal.
But now she's saying lower to the rock. Another brand of indefinite reference arises out of the use of the double verb. Shipbuilding is the most fascinating process.
The raw PEVD.
But now she's saying lower to the rock. Another brand of indefinite reference arises out of the use of the double verb. Shipbuilding is the most fascinating process.
PEVD L2.
But now she's saying lower to the rock. Another brand of indefinite reference arises out of the use of the double verb. Shipbuilding is the most fascinating process.
After polynomial EVD L2, the eigenbeam that's directed at the source, chi11, gives the best STOI. Now listen to chi11.
But now she's saying lower to the rock. Another brand of indefinite reference arises out of the use of the double verb. Shipbuilding is the most fascinating process.
Applying the KLT to the omnibeam improves all measures except for STOI. In this smear-gen scenario, the source and microphone array lie along the same x-axis. We now consider the case where they don't lie on the same axis. To do that, we use the room impulse responses and noise signals measured in the ACE corpus. Chi11 no longer performs well in STOI because it is no longer directed at the source and may pick up weaker reverberant components along with noise. At minus 10 dB SNR, PEVD L1 and L2 performs better than the raw PEVD because the generated eigenbeams take advantage of the noise reduction offered by the signal-independent Spherical Harmonics processing. But this is not available to raw polynomial EVD. At the other SNRs, the polynomial EVD algorithms perform comparably well, even though polynomial EVD L1 and L2 use 4 and 9 eigenbeam signals compared to the 32 microphone signals used in the raw PEVD approach. In this talk, the polynomial EVD of eigenbeams is effective for speech enhancement in noisy reverberant environments. The proposed approach performs almost identically, and sometimes even better, than raw PEVD. This is achieved using only a fraction of the complexity factor of raw PEVD. This proposed approach is also robust even when eigenbeams are not steered towards the speaker, and is a completely blind and unsupervised method. These are the references used in this talk. Thank you for tuning in. The listening examples can be found in the QR code or the URL. Also, please visit the website to get more materials and videos for my work. Thank you.